Have a sliver of hope to share with you. A major working class victory from Tuesday night's election results that isn't getting any national attention. And though it's sort of an upside down victory and it's only local to Houston, I think it has a very important lesson for building working class solidarity nationwide. Houston defeated a massive $4.4 billion school bond. And you're saying, Sim, how is voting against funding public education a working class victory? Well, let me explain. A year and a half ago, the state of Texas overtook the Houston Public School District, and they installed a little dictator with fascist-like powers named Mike Miles, who everyone in the city hates. Mike Miles kicked off his reign with a musical about himself, starring himself, that cost the school district $470,000. He always wears and frequently mentions a prediction ring, a magical ring that talks to him and gives him ideas for how to improve the school district. He has turned libraries into detention centers and punishment rooms. He's fired almost all the librarians in the city. My kids lost their librarian this year. Him and his board of appointed, not voted in, yes men who approve everything he does have massively fired teachers and principals for offenses as small as asking questions. They've created like a Soviet KGB level of enforcement of their curriculum where, everyone is constantly being monitored and observed and tattled on if they deviate one iota from the very shitty curriculum that's often written by ChatGPT. And they've used money to enrich themselves, like tripling the number of central office staff earning more than $200,000 while gutting homeless services, wraparound services, autism, and the libraries, obviously. When Miles took over, we had a $118 million budget deficit. It's now $415 million. Mike Miles has been funneling millions to his charter school network that he owns. And they make ridiculous bad purchases, like spending $1 million on adult-sized spin bikes for kids, which are just like sitting, taking up a classroom somewhere. And not to mention just like the millions and millions of dollars in lost value of all these libraries in every single school in the city, these incredible libraries that are just sitting shuttered with the books not being utilized. So even though school bonds are enormously popular, funding public schools is one of the most easily passed bonds that exists in the country, and that's true in red and blue areas, but particularly in blue areas. On inertia alone, this bond should have passed like a breeze. I mean, I've never seen the city of Houston vote against more public education funding, but the incredible parent and teacher organizers at Community Voices for Public Education, they put together a campaign, a grassroots campaign to defeat the bonds with the slogan, "No trust, no bond." And they've been block walking and calling people and spreading the word that we should be voting against, giving Mike Miles $4.4 billion more dollars to waste and squander and use to enrich himself and his crappy charter school network. And it passed. It passed by a huge majority. And let me tell you something I've learned over the past year and a half. Working class people need public schools, and working class people want good public schools for their kids. And the far right is determined to dismantle education, and it's a stinker of a policy. I have found more common ground with conservative neighbors and fellow Houstonians over this schools issue than any other political issue I can think of in my lifetime. So if you are wanting to build working class solidarity that transcends red and blue, public education is a great place to focus, and I hear barely anybody talking about it. Mike Miles responded on Wednesday to the defeat of the bond proposal by writing this very long email to parents, scolding and shaming us for defeating his bond. He's basically like, I hope you like shitty facilities and not enough school police. Like he's threatening our children with mold and school shootings. Quotes Nelson Mandela and then talks about how very disappointed he is in us. And I feel like every parent and teacher in the city who read this is just like drinking up those tears. And then a few hours later, we got this like damage control email from Audrey Mamani, who's like the sycophantic board president for Mike Miles, basically saying like, we're still committed to doing the best for your kids. Like, ignore Mike's meltdown. Anyways, I just want to take a moment to address like the amazing grassroots organizers with Houston CVP who made this happen. I see you, I salute you. And I want to say I'm sorry because a year ago I was making a lot more content about the state takeover. But then, the matters in Gaza started and it just felt like I couldn't split my activism on two fronts at once. It was just too much for me to keep up with it. But I also knew that I could trust y'all to keep the fight going. And thank you. Thank you for fighting for our students. And thank you for defeating this bond. Obviously, the fight is long from over. We didn't get Mike Miles out of power. We just stopped him getting more money. But if you live in Texas, particularly if you live in Houston, please make sure you're following at Houston CVPE across social medias. Get involved with them. Donate money to them. And, keep supporting, the resistance to the state takeover. Now this week, once again, I'm giving away a signed first edition copy of my novel, The Free People's Village, to one lucky winner. To enter, donate at least $5, but as much as you are able to Laud Al-Auda. They're a group that's organizing mutual aid for Palestinian families, refugees from Gaza living in Cairo. Send a screenshot of receipt of your donation to t4gaza@gmail.com. That's a letter T, the number 4gaza@gmail.com, and you'll be entered to win the book. And to everyone fighting for public schools, I love you. You're amazing. You're my mashbucha.